Now, at some point in the second half of this year, we will all go to the polls and make a choice.
When will be the general election? Can you give us a date on BBC Radio T's This Morning, Prime Minister?
No, unfortunately not. But the most important
Why not? Why is that funny? Sorry. Can you? Why are you laughing about that?
The important thing, well, because there's a way that we'd announce general elections.
Not just about Conservatives versus Labour. Or Sunak versus Starmer. It will be a choice between the future and the past. And not with vague, lofty platitudes, but with bold ideas and a clear plan.
We have a plan, and the plan is working, but they have no plan. That's the consequence of having no plan. That's why we have to stick to our plan, and the plan is working. We set out a clear plan, we've delivered on that plan, and so that shows that the plan is working, and if we stick to the plan, we can deliver that positive change for the country. They had 4 years to set out a plan, and he hasn't. That's why our plan is the right one. I want to stick to the plan. That's right, our plan that's working. I said, like, I'm interested in sticking with the plan that I set out to the British people, because that plan is working. The plan is working, and our job is to stick to that plan, and that plan is working. We are making progress, and that's why it's so important we stick to this plan, because we have a plan, we put that plan in place, and we worked hard to deliver it, and that plan is working, because the Labour Party does not have a plan on any of these issues, or what the Labour Party are saying, where there is absolutely no plan. Right? We have got a plan, that plan is working, because he can't tell you what he's going to do, because he doesn't have a plan.
Now, I feel a profound sense of urgency, because more will change in the next 5 years than in the last 30. Here at home, China has conducted cyber targeting of our democratically elected MPs. People are abusing our liberal democratic values, the freedom of speech, right to protest.
This was the Police, Crime, Court and Sentencing Act. It was the government's attempt at redrawing the lines between the right to protest and what the government refers to as the right of ordinary people to go about their daily lives. Now, while the Act is on the statute book and the government did eventually get it through Parliament, this was only by getting rid of some of the most controversial elements. Now though, the government has bundled together the most controversial gutted sections of the Act and are trying to get it back through Parliament in the Public Order Bill. In fact, they're even trying to put in amendments at the very last moment that would further restrict the right to protest.
And from gender activists hijacking children's sex education to cancel culture, vocal and aggressive fringe groups are trying to impose their views on the rest of us.
Trust, why do we need in this country the popular Conservatives?
Well, we've had a Conservative government for 14 years and we've achieved many things. But one of the problems we have is, though we've got a Conservative government, what we're seeing in our schools, in our universities, in our corporate sector is the spreading of wokery, of left-wing ideas. And what PopCon is about combating that.
But for all the dangers ahead, few are felt more acutely than people's sense of financial insecurity. We've been pounded by a series of once-in-a-generation shocks.
So relative kind of stability overnight, that was more or less where the statement happened. So you see that point where it kind of picks up a little bit, and then perhaps as people are digesting it, it's down by about a full cent against the dollar in a matter of a few seconds.
In the last 4 years, 5 chancellors have said they want to cut taxes. In reality, the opposite has happened. Taxes have been rising to near historic highs. The Institute for Fiscal Studies has calculated the tax burden, that's tax paid as a percentage of the national income, is at its highest since the war. 37% it'll be by next year. That's up 4% in a single parliament, worth an extra £100 billion a year to the Treasury.
Yet they are hitting our living standards here at home. We must be prepared strategically, economically, with robust plans. And
that's why our plan is the right one. I want to stick to the plan. That's right, our plan that's working. I said, like, I'm interested in sticking with the plan that I set out to the British people,
by the fears about new technologies like AI.
I will work day in, day out to deliver for the British people.
People want to know that they've got someone in charge who understands these dangers, because only if you understand what is happening can you be trusted to keep us safe.
Scan them for me.
Because despite having 14 years with nothing to do but think about the future, Labour have almost nothing to say about it. And yes, the global displacement of 100 million people is a new and defining challenge of our age. But we can and will protect ourselves against illegal migration. Because only we Conservatives have the strength to challenge conventions and do something different about it. Tinkering just won't work. That's why we're pioneering the Rwanda scheme. And so when people see that if they come here illegally, they will be swiftly detained and removed, they will be deterred from making that perilous journey, stopping the boats and saving thousands of lives. Now I know that our international frameworks are outdated, so there may be flashpoints ahead with the ECHR. And if the Strasbourg court make me choose between the ECHR and this country's security, I will choose our country's security every single time. And a country where we properly respect the older generation. They've contributed all their lives. So whatever the triple lock costs, it's morally right to give older people dignity and comfort in retirement.
Inflation has now hit 9.4%, but the state pension only increased by 3.1% this year. It's estimated more than 2 million pensioners are living in poverty, the highest level since 2012. And older people aren't claiming all of the help they're entitled to. A third of pensioners on low incomes eligible for pension credit are still missing out. From January, the average household energy bill could surge above £4,200 a year, according to some forecasts. And for the retired, that's getting close to half of their annual state pension.
Building on the success of the last 14 years, we will create a truly world-class education system.
Warnings about RAC apparently ignored for years. Housing, hospitals and public buildings all potentially affected, with schools in particular disarray just a day before the start of the new academic year. Labour blame crumbling schools on austerity.
They haven't been investing in our schools estate, and the reason that we're developing all of these problems is because of a consistent failure over the last 13 years. I think there can be no greater a defining image of the last 13 years of the Conservatives' education policy than children sat in classrooms with metal props literally stopping the ceilings from falling in on their head.
Imagine the huge opportunities to cut crime through technologies like live facial recognition, helping police catch wanted criminals, find missing people, spend more time on the beat.
Facial recognition has been especially problematic for people with darker complexions. A 2019 government analysis on the top facial recognition algorithms found that they were significantly worse at identifying non-white faces than white faces, sometimes resulting in 100 times more false positives.
And imagine our NHS, still free at the point of use.
The Tory government keep telling us that the NHS is not being privatised. It absolutely is. Who's NHS? Our NHS!
The company that occupies this building, Operos, which is a subsidiary of a US health giant, Centene, has been busily taking over our GP practices. Local authorities are completely oblivious of what's been going on, and it's only because of our campaigns that in recent weeks MPs have started talking about this, councillors have started getting involved.
And I believe there will be no more powerful example of what all the forces of British dynamism, innovation, scientific discovery and technological progress can achieve than this: to address finally the fear of one word that still lurks in the back of everyone's minds, that touches almost every family in the country, and that envelops our whole world if we or a loved one hear it: cancer. And above all, you can trust me to keep you and your family safe and secure from the threats we face at home and abroad. There are storms ahead. The dangers are all too real. But Britain can feel proud again. Britain can feel confident again. Because with bold action and a clear plan...
We have a plan, and the plan is working. But they have no plan. That's the consequence of having no plan. That's why we have to stick to our plan, and the plan is working. We set out a clear plan.
We can and we will create a secure future. Thank you.
We have a plan, and the plan is working. Because he can't tell you what he's going to do because he doesn't have a plan.